Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I am your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Preacher, Season 4, Episode 3, Deviant. Welcome, everybody. Okay episode, not fantastic. There was one really good scene in it, and we also got some background on another character. Excuse me. So before I start that, though, let me get some business out of the way here first. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. You can hit the dislike button. I ask you just go down in the comment section, tell me what it is you don't like, give me some constructive criticism, some feedback. If you want to follow me, you can, and find out when the next, what I'm going to be on again next. You can hit the bell down below as well. The bell does not guarantee that it'll actually send out a notification. That's the way YouTube rolls. But you can go into the bell settings and get as many or as little notifications as you want. If you want to see when I'm actually going to be on, go to my schedule. That is at suspendedfanimation.com. It's also on my Facebook page as well for Suspended Fanimation. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, and I also have, excuse me, a Patreon page, but I have no tiers set up on the Patreon page as of yet. So there we go. Yeah, who uses Skype anymore, man? I mean, come on. Skype is so 19. No. Anyway. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. Sorry you're having problems watching the episode. Otherwise, she would be here. So, the opening scene was pretty funny. I have to admit, Penn Farm Girl, we got a commercial for Toscani's face cream, and saying that it's made with foreskins, of course, and that and she's putting this on her face. The guy in the commercial's asking how what did she do to get such useful? How is her face so youthful looking? And she says, "I'll never tell," which was a pretty funny joke. But then we see that, of course, it's supposed to be cruelty free, of course, and we see that Kaz is being held in Bensonhurst and having his foreskin sliced off repeatedly with a deli knife, and it's a deli slicer. Pretty nasty stuff. So yeah, my God, that was actually just kind of nasty too. So we also see the Saint of Killers and Arseface walking through Texas, and Arseface, of course, is complaining the entire time about the just walking. That's all. And says, hey, we could try something else. I got a learner's permit. I could drive. We can hitch a ride. And he tries hitching a ride, of course. And the woman just looks at his face, says, calls him a freak, and basically speeds past them. And the Saint of Killers, also Arseface is saying that this is all part of God's plan, probably. And Arseface just says, God's dead. God's gone. There's no God's plan anymore. So we see Jesse out in the plane, and he's remembering back to the, house d'Assad, if you will, out in the Middle East, and he enters it. He gets some smoke blown in his face as he's entering, and of course he runs into the Marquis d'Assad, who says it's kinky, wearing the preacher outfit and all that stuff. And Jesse asks about the kid in the window, and he goes, "Oh, nope, he's booked up for the entire week." And Jesse's like, "I wish you hadn't have said that." And he punches the guy out and just wanders up the stairs. And we see like the chandeliers bouncing and all this stuff. We hear people moaning in the distance, all that stuff. And he goes upstairs to go see what's going on. In the meantime, Tulip is in Masada. She's in the infirmary. And she's trying to tell the doctor, the doctor's like, well, how many, you have a couple of contusions, but everything looks good. He goes, but we still need to do a psych evaluation on you. And she goes, nope, I'm good. I need to work. You know what? I'm getting ready to go back in. She goes, my shift's starting pretty soon. He's like, no. You got to have your psych evaluation. And she really does not want to have her psych evaluation. So she starts beating the shit out of everybody. All the staff start coming at her. She starts beating them with bedpans, all kinds of stuff. And finally they trank her and knock her out. Yeah. In the meantime, we see Frankie Toscani again. It's that whole we saw the scene last week of him saying to Cass, that, I know what kind of guy you are. You're that kind of guy who thinks he deserves everything coming to him. That's why he just does what he does. And Cass is remembering this as he's sitting there in the cell, and the angel above him is asking, how are they going to get out of this one? Are they going to, jump the guards? They come in, rip them apart, all this kind of stuff. And Cass just basically says, no, I'm not going to do anything. And the angel's like, well, that's a horrible idea. I like the first idea better, which is the idea that he came up with, of course. So, Arseface and Santa Killer are still walking, and they see this sign that says food. And he asks them, does the Santa Killers get hungry? He goes, because I'm hungry. So they stop at a roadside diner, and Arseface orders some food to be blended, and the Santa Killers just wants whiskey. But of course, it's a family establishment, so they don't have any whiskey. So he orders some food. And Arseface gets up and, well, first they're discussing what they want from Jesse. Excuse me. And all Arseface wants is an apology for sending him to hell, because they both got sent to hell by Jesse. And the Santa Killer's like, no, I don't want an apology, because I want to just shoot him in the head, send him to hell myself. And Arseface gets up and excuses himself to go to the bathroom. So Cass and the angel in the meantime are talking, in their cell. And the angel, for some reason, says, do you remember that movie Hoosiers? And about the white kids, the basketball team. And he starts talking. He actually does Gene Hackman's speech from that movie. And it's actually Gene Hackman. It's coming out of his mouth. And Cass is just kind of looking up at him. And we end up getting Cass's backstory at this point. It's 1916. Cass is going off to go and fight the British. He's Irish, of course, and they're fighting the British occupation. And he says goodbye to his family. And his friend Billy comes by, and the mom says, hey, watch out for each other, all that stuff. And they're like, yeah, we will. And he's got his gun. He's taking off. And we see them in the alleyway. They're getting ready to join the fight. We see the British kind of going by. We hear gunshots and things like that. They get a rousing speech, kind of, from their leader. And as they all go rushing out, Billy and Cass being the last one, there's a big explosion that knocks Cass like really far back. And Billy's foot's gone. It's been shredded. And two British soldiers come up and go, oh, look at that. We got a survivor. And they basically bayonet Billy to death, with Cass looking on, and Cass takes off because they didn't see him. So he's trying to make his way back home. It's nighttime, and he's out, in the swamp, in the bog, waiting for these two soldiers to pass by, when out of nowhere, some vampires that are underwater grab him, drags him down. He's fighting them and everything, but he finally ends up getting bit, and he ends up fighting them off so they don't drain him. Yeah, and Cass had gone back home only to stand outside, and he ends up telling the angel that he couldn't go back in, he couldn't face them, and it was better just to let them think that he died. So that's why that's why he feels like he deserves it. Why he's a screw up at this point. And he says that's also the reason why the angels probably lost faith in him as well, and weren't looking over him. And the angel goes, no, the angel's just a bit touched, is what he says. And we see this angel feather drop from the sky, as from the angel itself, as he's singing an Irish song. Yeah. And we see that Cass has pretty much given up on himself at this point. Yeah, that was a pretty gnarly looking vampire that bit him. I agree, Penn. Like I said, this episode was more exposition to kind of fill in some of the gaps of our characters than actually I don't know. It wasn't really more of the story. It was more filling in the gaps, like I said, So we have Featherstone busting into the hotel room that Jesse and Tulip had been hanging out in, and she finds the head mannequin that Tulip was using for one of her wigs, and sees that it's empty, and of course knows that Tulip has used one of the wigs. which we've seen, of course, that she's wearing a blonde wig while she's at Masada there. uh, what's the angel's backstory, though? Why are they? Yeah, I know. We don't even know his name. We don't know who this angel is. All we know is that they're holding this Irish angel. Is what it sounds like, because he's got an Irish lilt to him. Yeah. Tulip looks good as an agent. Yeah. So Tulip hears Jesse reading his letter, and the ending's changed a bit. He basically calls her a stupid bitch, and she wakes up and she's strapped to the bed. And the doctor says, "Oh, we're going to give you that psych test anyway, and that's before we'll release you. I mean, that's the only way we're going to be able to do this." So he's got some Rorschach, ink blots, and that's what he's going to go through. In the meantime, Jesse is walking down the hall of the House d'Assad, and he is high as a kite from whatever he got blown in his face there, and he's listening. And we hear like moaning and whips and all this kind of stuff and all this stuff. And he's listening specifically to the doors when he finds one of the doors that he walks in on, and it's the kid getting his picture taken by some guy. And the guy's like, "I still have an hour left." And Jesse's like, "No, you don't," and punches him. And he tells the kid to go, and the kid's like, "No, you know what? You got a problem." First, he gives back Jesse his shoes, and then he says, "I'm making $35 an hour in a third world country. That's actually pretty damn good." He goes, "I'm not going anywhere." And he says, "You're the one who's got issues, who's got a problem here at this point." And Jesse's like, "No, I don't." And he goes, "Yeah, you do. Take a look." And they're out in the hallway, and we see all these costume freaks in the hallway waiting for Jesse. And he pushes the kid back in the room and says, "Stay there." And then we have this really long fight scene, which is actually a pretty good fight scene, where he is just beating the shit out of everybody, and they're beating the shit out of him too. And he doesn't use the voice. He's actually just using his fists like he normally does. And I mean, all kinds of stuff is happening. We have whips, we have chains, we have knives, we have guns going on. At one point, yes, he is using, one guy whips out a gun and is trying to shoot him, and he uses the gun against other people, starts shooting, and he's shooting around in the hallway itself. Yeah, Jesse could have just used the voice, but they wanted the awesome fight scene. Yes. Well, he also wanted to work some stuff out. He wanted to get revenge. Yeah, it did escalate very, very quickly, Robert. I agree with you. And he ends up, Jesse's killed all of them. And then he sees a bullet hole through the door where he had shoved the kid back in. And he walks up to the door, opens it up, and the kid has been shot in the head. And that's when the Marquis de Sade walks in and says, "You broke my nose. I can't believe you broke my nose." And he grabs the guy and just starts bashing his head into the sink, just crushing his head. And it's repeatedly. Is what's going on. As a matter of fact, they kind of break away from it and show the house as you're hearing the crunching going on. And the pilot shows up, because the pilot was the one that went in the first place. And he's holding on to his pants, and he looks at the preacher and goes, "What the hell kind of preacher are you?" And they're out in the car, and we see his hand shaking and everything. And Jesse uses the voice then to tell him to forget everything that he saw in the house. And the pilot's like, "My pants, where are my pants at?" And he's going to get out and get his pants. He's like, "You don't need pants. We don't need pants at the airport." And he used the voice on him. And the pilot's like, "Okay, we don't need pants," and takes off. And we see as they're taking off, who's in the window but God in his dog costume. Yeah. Yeah, Jesse's been doing a lot of really stupid shit this season. And I'm wondering if it's because of God's influence or what's going on, because we know that God is trying to basically delay them from doing whatever it is they need to do before he can do what he needs to do. So yeah, I'm wondering how much of it is God and how much of it is just Jesse being an asshole. I don't understand where they're going with this one. Hopefully, yeah, these characters have not progressed at all, but I'm hoping there's a reason for it and not just really bad writing. But we'll see. We'll see what's going on. In the meantime, here Star is sitting down a report about Jesse. He's going to send it out to all media that what kind of animal he is and all this stuff. So basically anybody that sees Jesse will be afraid of him. And the guy that he's talking to, he asks him, he goes, "I have a question for you. What's your impression of me?" And the guy tells him, "Oh, you're ruthless, blah blah blah." And he goes, "Yes. Besides that, am I attractive?" And the guy looks at him and goes, "No, you're not. You're not attractive at all." And they have a little discussion about attractiveness. What's going on when when Featherstone comes in and tells Hairstar that she's figured it out. And he says, "What, you found out where the Humperdew is, where the Messiah is?" And she goes, "No, not that. Or where Tulip is. The bitch is here," is what she says. And she goes, "What? That's not what your job is for. We're trying to find Humperdew." And she goes, "No, uh, she's wearing a wig. She's here at Masada. She's snuck in." And yeah, we find out that Tulip has had we see her getting the end of her psych eval, and everything that she's looking at either has brain matter and blood or some kind of entrails, some kind of massacre going on in all the pictures that she's seen. Yeah, so it's not good. And the doctor basically says the results of her psych evaluation is that she's a deviant with a gun fetish and abandonment issues. But that's fine, Yeah. The angel in the meantime and Cass are singing bar songs still in the cell, and just kind of waiting for him to be taken away to Bensonhurst at this point. Arseface is in the toilet there, in the bathroom in one of the stalls, when the guy in the stall next to him slides his foot over and taps Arseface's foot. And Arseface is like, what's going on? He taps the guy's foot and he goes, "You need some toilet paper." And the guy's like, "What the hell are you saying?" And he goes, "You need some toilet paper." And the guy's like, "No, just put your mouth to the hole." And he pops out a little hole in the wall. And Arseface is like, "What?" He goes, put your mouth to the hole." And Arseface, not knowing any better, puts his mouth to the hole. He goes, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Jesus, talk about, moving too fast." Because, of course, it looks like an asshole. And just then the cops bust in and they bust them for being perverts. And as Arseface is being arrested, he's screaming out for the Santa Killers as he's being taken out to the car. And he's getting driven away by this cop. And he's sitting almost behind, he's sitting in the middle of the back seat. And the cop just says, "Can you move over? I'm driving here. I don't need to see you in the back seat." So he moves all the way over to one side of the passenger side. And the Santa Killers at this time has walked outside and out into the road. And he shoots and kills the cop as the car is moving. They have transportation now at this point. Yeah. So Jesse is at the airport. The plane is getting fueled up, and he's smoking when a woman comes over to tell him he can't smoke, and he uses the voice to tell her that, yes, I can smoke. And Hitler ends up sitting behind him and says, "You know what? With the voice," he goes, "I understand you have that voice power. You could have at least had her refill the cashews," is what he says. And then he tells him, "I've taken over hell now. I want you to join me in hell. And Satan's dead. And that I'm in charge now," is what he says. And Jesse's like, "Your parents must be very proud of you." And he goes, "Yes, they are, when I'm not flaying them in between flayings." And Jesse tells him, he tells him to get on his knees, then tells him to choke himself harder. No, choke himself even harder than that. And he says, "I've got the greatest power in the universe right now because I'm going to go and talk to God. No one tells me no, that I can't go and do this. I do what I want." And he basically lets Hitler go. And Hitler says, "I'll see you. I'll see you in hell soon," is what he says. Tulip, in the meantime, has been released by the doctor just as Featherstone comes down there to go and find her. And Tulip ends up going to the cell where Cass is, only to find that he's just been taken to Bensonhurst. And the angel tells her, that's where he's been taken. Arseface, in the meantime, is driving with the Santa Killers with blood on the window still on the inside. And he's actually trying to, pray to God, telling him to take the cop's soul to heaven and all this stuff. And the Santa Killers is basically saying, God's not listening. God, is this all part of God's plan now? This kind of thing. And yeah, it's kind of brutal. He's lost all hope of everything Santa killers. All he just wants to do is just kill Jesse now at this point. So Jesse's on the plane, and we see the TV spark up just a little bit, talking about the massacre that he left behind in the house to Sod, and also warning about Jesse as well. And this is what all Hair Star is doing on that one. When suddenly the airplane starts hitting turbulence, or as the pilot comes on and says, we're hitting a lot of something. So maybe you want to hold on. And the airplane starts getting a little bit more and more bumpy, and the masks fall down out of the ceiling. And we see Tulip. He's hallucinating Tulip in the seat behind him saying, and you didn't even say goodbye. You left and didn't even say goodbye. And that's where we leave off on the episode. Like I said, not a great episode. It was a lot of exposition, trying to fill in some of the backstory of things that probably should have been done last season. And yeah, there we go. I didn't mind the Hitler scene either, Pen Farm Girl, but I liked the hallway scene, and Cass's backstory, which I was kind of hoping we'd have gotten last season, but considering how short it was what, like all of maybe 5 minutes, his backstory. That's all it was. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I forgot, Robert M reminded me there. The new guy who's working with Featherstone now, who is writing the report, is Hoover 2.0, as he's been called, as he's been named by Hairstar. Because yeah, Featherstone goes, "Who the hell is this?" And Hairstar goes, "This is your new partner. He's replacing Hoover. He is Hoover 2." Yeah. I love Hairstar. I wish I would give Hairstar more, some more stuff to do, but I don't know. So again, not the greatest of episodes, and I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this season. If it's going to be good, or if we're just going to end. A lot of these last seasons now of shows have been just kind of spinning their wheels and not delivering, quite honestly, except for Legion. Legion's the only thing that's actually been delivering, like full balls out, balls to the wall, nitro, everything. Yeah, it's been going, but not this stuff. Yeah, Hairstar's new penis ear is distracting, I have to admit, Pen. I agree with you. And yeah, speaking of Legion, what's tomorrow night? Tomorrow night is the final episode ever of Legion. I'm very disappointed, but I'm also very interested to see what that's going to be like. Wednesday, of course, is the last episode of the season for Krypton. Thursday is The Boys. And Saturday is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, and the next 2 weeks after this coming up week, I'm going to have to fill in some stuff. As a matter of fact, I've got my book right here. Let's see what I've got planned coming up here. So besides Preacher, that's going to be on Sundays, on Wednesdays after Krypton ends, I'm going to have the Wu Assassins from Netflix. I'm going to do the first half of the season on the 21st and the second half of the season on the 28th. Because after that, Carnival Row starts on the 4th. So yeah, there's going to be stuff coming up. I'm also going to be covering the Dark Crystal, because I didn't realize, I actually forgot the Dark Crystal was a series. So that is going to be, happening on Tuesday nights. Yeah. Lots and lots of stuff going on. I usually don't have a soda, but I got some Dr. Pepper for Preacher. Oh, nice. Legion versus Preacher would be a very short series. And yeah. Have you watched Wu Assassins yet? I have not, Pen. I have not. But I will. I will be doing that. No, Mr. Roboto, I'm not paying for Epics. Sorry. It just wasn't, it didn't, after Gotham, I was like, I'm not doing Pennyworth either. It's the same showrunner. So I watched like 3 today, maybe of The Woo. How was it, Joe? How was it? Did you like it, or is it? I heard it's kind of like Iron Fist in a way, but it's supposed to be better than Iron. It's basically the same kind of story as Iron Fist, with a little twist. Plus, it has Mark Dacascos in it. I never can pronounce his name. Who's a great martial artist who was in the last John Wick movie. Yes, action is great, but the script sucks. Okay, that's what I kind of figured. Yeah, it's a lot of martial artists. I kind of figured that much, and I knew the script was going to be a little bit on the weak side, but that's fine. I'll watch it. Yes, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Yes, I've got that in the video library up there. He was also the TV version of The Crow as well. That's right. I was just about to say that, Penn. Thanks. Yep. That is right. Very short-lived. I think it was only, was it a season or was it 2? I think it was just a season. That's right. I forgot. Aiko's in there as well from the raid. Yes, he was the Iron Chef for a little while as well. That's right. The chairman. Yep. But yeah, he's fairly creepy in John Wick 3. He really was. But yeah, he's, I don't know if I call him a well-rounded actor. I would just say he's been in a lot of stuff. Yeah. Kathy W. she's in there too. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Roboto, I can't. I'm not paying for epics. Sorry. It's just, yeah. If it was free, sure, I would do it, or on something else that I'm already paying for. Yeah, but I don't feel like paying Sony money, especially for one show. I might pay, nothing to watch the pilot, and then if it's good, maybe 99 cents an episode. That's about it. No, I don't sail the high seas. Sorry, Penn. Yeah, I don't do that either. It'd make me a hypocrite if I tried doing that kind of stuff and trying to do this. So yeah, just not worth it. Yeah. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, if you're on the fence about joining up, you're going to see the very end of the video, a video pop up here. It's going to take a video from my vast video library based on the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and pop it up right there for you. Up here is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. Yeah. That's at the very end of the of this episode. Peter Weller. What about Peter Weller? Mr. Joker. Yeah. Well, Peter Weller is also a professor of architecture, or no, I think it's art history, if I'm not mistaken. He actually has a PhD. I've forgotten which one. But yeah, he actually is a teacher at a university. Someplace on the East Coast or the Midwest. I can't remember which one it is. Yes, he directs as well. That's correct. Peter Weller does direct every now and then as well. But he's pretty much out of Hollywood. He really doesn't do Hollywood stuff anymore. I did love him as the voice of Bruce Wayne Batman in The Dark Knight Returns, both parts 1 and 2. Peter Weller was awesome as the voice of Batman. Yeah, it was just, that whole, you could feel the age in his voice. It was really good. So, no, I am not a pirate, Mr. Roboto. Sorry. Yeah, I don't do that. With green arrow with the tip of krypton. Yes, the kryptonite. Exactly. So, with that said, like I said, not the greatest episodes. I'm hoping that this season picks up a bit. It needs to do something. And we need to get to the point, essentially, is what we need to do. I understand. Yes, I know God is screwing with them at that point and basically trying to delay them from doing what they're doing. But we need to move the story along and get to, we only have 8 episodes in this season, I believe, is what it is. 8 episodes. Yeah. So yeah, it needs to move along a little faster. I really don't want to have another, season 2 of being stuck in the fucking bayou. Not in the bayou, but stuck in the apartment. Because otherwise, it's just going to be boring. It's going to piss a lot of people off, too. Yeah, Joe, I don't know what AMC's doing, quite honestly. They're just spinning off more and more Walking Dead spin-offs. I mean, they're starting a third show from Walking Dead. Fear the Walking Dead still going, so is Walking Dead as well. And I don't know. I Nosferatu didn't do anything for me. The Terror isn't doing anything for me. The Lodge I didn't like. I stopped watching The Lodge. Yes, it has, Bruce Campbell in it, but the show kind of sucked, quite honestly. It just was going nowhere. I'm trying to think of anything else out there. That martial arts one that they had as well. I couldn't get into the martial arts one. It just was boring the crap out of me, and I tried a couple of times. Oh, is it 10 episodes, Pen Farm Girl? Oh, 10. Okay. I thought it was 8. I can never remember. They kept switching it around for a while, saying how many episodes they were going to have. So it is 10 episodes. Well, still, they need to move things along. It's just 10. But yeah, they need to do something. I don't know. They need to. I have no idea what they could do. I was happy for the brother character actor finally getting a lead role, but The Lodge was so. The Lodge was just boring. I'm sorry. For me, I couldn't get through it. I tried. Yeah, AMC for me is not a destination place to go. Love in the Bayou or The Apartment. Really? You don't know what we're talking about at all, do you, Mr. Roboto? You're just here for the chat. I know. So, again, like I said before, if you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you want to know where I'll be on next, you can hit the bell, or you can go and take a look at my schedule up on suspendedfanimation.com. As Penn has put up there for me. Thank you, Penn. On Twitter, I'm also on Instagram. I'm also on Facebook, and I also have a Patreon page as well, but I don't have any tiers set up as of yet. So, with that said, thank you, everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. I know it's a bit late for you guys out on the East Coast. And I will, yes, exactly, like, share, and subscribe. I will see you tomorrow for the last episode of Legion. I'm so disappointed, but at the same time, so looking forward to it at the same time. And I will see you guys. And thank you if you made it this far in the video as well. So I will see you tomorrow for Legion. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find out that God is just fucking with you and trying to delay your progress like that motherfucker always does. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.